Hi, I'm Tab Hunter, and welcome to the best of Hollywood. Hi, I'm Tab Hunter, and this is Hollywood. You know, a century ago, or even as late as the 1930s, this was nothing but a rustic little town with dirt roads and orange groves, palm trees. The palm trees are still here. In the first 2 decades of this century, early movie producers migrated here from the East Coast for 2 important reasons: the weather and the law. It's sunny and dry nearly 12 months of the year. Perfect weather for making movies outdoors. And nearly every conceivable location is within a few hours' drive from downtown Hollywood. Forests, mountains, the ocean, rolling hills, rugged rocks, farmland, even landscapes that look like other planets. The other reason was the law. The Thomas Edison Company held a monopoly on early motion picture equipment. No one could make movies without paying a royalty to the Motion Picture Trust. And the trust? Well, they sent some pretty beefy guys to enforce their rights. Producers felt the further they were from Edison's headquarters in New Jersey, the better. 5 blocks from downtown Hollywood, this building, or what's left of it, housed the sets for the first feature-length movie made in Hollywood. The Squaw Man was directed by Cecil B. DeMille in 1914. The town and the film industry grew up fast in the teens and 20s. Even when America and the world were hit by the Great Depression in 1929, Hollywood remained a glittering galaxy of stars. The name Hollywood evoked glamour, money, and fame, personalities who were bigger than life, heroes and heroines who reflected our dreams. In the fantasy world of films, you could ride a horse like Roy Rogers, you could dance like Fred Astaire, or say just the right thing at the right time.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
You want to be alone.
He's looking at you, kid.
You know, for a little kid from New York, this represented the heights of glamour. The Chinese theater, Sid Grauman's exotic vision of Oriental luxury. Now it's called the Mann's Chinese Theater, and it still has the famous footprints right here in cement in the forecourt. John Wayne, Shirley Temple, all 4 Marx Brothers, Jimmy Durante's nose, Betty Grable's legs, plus new stars in the movie galaxy like Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, even R2-D2 and C-3PO. Every year, Hollywood studios, producers, filmmakers, and stars try to outdo themselves to make their mark a little higher than before. It's an exciting business. A studio can rise from nowhere with a string of hits, or it can fade away after a few colossal flops. This is where movies found their voice. Now it's KTLA TV Studios. It was the original site of Warner Brothers Vitaphone Productions. In 1927, singer Al Jolson led a technological revolution: synchronized sound. It changed the stylized images of the silent film.
I walk a million miles for one of your smiles for my me.
Like a teenager with a cracking voice, Hollywood went through an awkward adolescence, then bloomed into adulthood. By the 1930s, the best writers, directors, and actors from the world of books and stage were working for film. Hollywood became a company town. Character actors, composers, musicians, and technicians formed a workforce that combined hard work and creativity. By the late 1930s, the studio system was firmly in place. Major film factories like MGM and Paramount had talent rosters with stars they guarded like the crown jewels. With television still a decade away, movies were the most popular and influential form of entertainment in the entire world. Many fans and critics agree that 1939 was the single greatest year for motion pictures. That there were more great films in theaters in that 12-month period than ever before or ever since. 20th Century Fox released the Technicolor Western Jesse James with Jerome Power and Henry Fonda, the story of Alexander Graham Bell, young Mr. Lincoln, Drums Along the Mohawk. Warner Brothers released The Private Lives of Elizabeth and Essex with Bette Davis and Errol Flynn, Dodge City, and the unsettling romance Confessions of a Nazi Spy.
We know that if America is to be free, we must destroy the chain that ties the whole misery of American politics together. And that chain is the United States Constitution.
The star was European actor Francis Lederer.
I was crazy about the part, and after I finished reading it, I went to the producer's office, and he said, well, how do you like it? I said, I'm crazy about it. He says, you would do that? I said, of course, why not? He says, well, it's a heavy, and it doesn't matter.
In September of 1939, Hitler's armies would invade Poland and plunge the entire world into war. But that was still months in the future.
I hereby dedicate the World's Fair, the New York World's Fair of 1939, and I declare it open to all mankind.
Officially, the world was still at peace. The futuristic images of the 1939 World's Fair, they promised a bright tomorrow. Imagine an air conditioning machine to keep your house cool in the summer. Television to provide pictures along with radio broadcasts. And the wonders of nylon and plastic. The Great Depression was over. The future looked good. The movies were better than ever. This Howard Hawks film combined action, humor, and sex in all the right proportions, which explains why Howard Hawks was one of Hollywood's top money-making directors.
Out of the fog steps a girl with a questionable past and a devil-may-care future. Out of the clouds drops a man with a propeller blade for a heart and an expert's eye for a pretty face.
And I have the darndest luck, losing one heel right after another.
You're a queer duck, Bolly.
So are you.
Only angels have wings, uniting in breathless romance the dashing hero of Gunga Din, Cary Grant, and the lovely heroine of You Can't Take It With You, Jean Arthur, with Richard Barthelmess making a triumphant return to the screen in the outstanding characterization of his career. Thomas Mitchell in another compelling performance, and glamorous Rita Hayworth.
You're going to stay right here. I won't let you kill yourself.
You're going to do it to keep me from doing it. Well, honey, you're just like all the rest.
Other adventure films looked into the past for their inspiration. George Stevens' film Gunga Din.
Sergeant McChesney! What do you want? Where's Sergeant Valentine? Here! Where's Sergeant Cutter? Here! Take your hands off that man.
Tommy, darling, I got your back again.
I am a soldier too, please.
Rise and kill. Kill lest you be killed yourselves. Kill for the love of killing. Kill for the love of Kali. Kill, kill, kill.
Why didn't you tell me they were tugs? I could mind to split you in two and stuff you up an elephant's trunk.
Lubricate that for my legs.
It combined comedy, panorama, and the exotic location of colonial India. The deserts outside of Los Angeles substituted admirably, and no viewer ever complained. Paramount's film version of the novel Beau Geste also looked as if it was shot in the real desert. It was, the Mojave Desert. That's about 3 hours drive outside of Los Angeles.
Give it up, you scum! Keep shooting! Now you like it, they're breaking! You'll get a chance yet to die with your boots on!
You want to stay here and die like rats in a trap, do you?
I think at least one of the Jets ought to kiss you goodbye.
Gary Cooper began his career in the last year of silent films, but emerged as a star only with the advent of sound. It's ironic, since his characters were almost invariably men of few words. Union Pacific spectacularly recreated the tale of the first transcontinental railroad.
Oh, don't start out by making me hate you.
You won't hate me, Molly. You'll love me.
Spectacle. Turbulent, triumphant. Spectacle that surges across the 3,000-mile canvas of a continent. Adventure. The heroic men and women whose blood, sinews, and backbone dare the impossible.
Producer Cecil B. DeMille was known for crowd-pleasing extravagance, whether in biblical epics or tales of American history.
And I've had the good fortune to work with not only DeMille, who, among other things, was one of the guys that invented the movies in the first place, which gives me a curious historical connection to the very beginning of the medium. He made the first feature film ever made in Hollywood. And he was very easy on actors, really. He could be very tough with ADs and prop men and wardrobe people and makeup people.
Now keep quiet and attend to your business.
If an actress showed up late in the set, which he really knew very well was her fault, he wouldn't rebuke her because that would just upset her. But in front of her, he would castigate the hairdressers, the wardrobe people, the makeup people, and say, you have kept Miss Hutton, Miss Baxter, waiting, kept us waiting for her for nearly half an hour past her call. I can't tolerate it. I won't tolerate it. You must not do this again.
As a publicity gimmick, DeMille borrowed the real golden spike. It had been driven in to tie the rails from the east and the track from the west at Promontory Point, Utah, 60 years before. Stagecoach made a star out of John Wayne, who'd been underused and underpaid in B-grade westerns for nearly 10 years.
You all hear what the lieutenant said?
What are you trying to do, scare somebody?
If you'll take my advice, ma'am, you won't take this trip.
My husband is with his troops in Dry Fork. If he's in danger, I want to be with him.
All right, folks.
Hey, Curly, why don't you take the cuffs off the kid? He's mighty handy with the gun.
You drive them horses. I'll take care of the kid.
You talk too much, Gatewood.
Don't switch, don't phase
Take
me,
it easy,
Hatfield.
Gatewood. We may need that fighting before we get to the ferry.
You wouldn't be much good in a fight, you jailbird.
Oh, leave the kid alone. He's handcuffed.
Director John Ford established a pattern with this film that would be imitated from here on. A core group of diverse characters in a series of dangerous situations. Hollywood films weren't all sweetness and light. Even under the censorship of that time, studios explored the darker side of life, the mystery, horror, and suspense films. In the early 30s, Warner Brothers had made some of the toughest crime films in Hollywood history, like Public Enemy and Little Caesar. under the direction of ace action director Raoul Walsh. The studio united Jimmy Cagney with an up-and-coming actor named Humphrey Bogart in the Roaring '20s.
Lay it good and ready. That friendship stuff don't mean a thing to me. This guy's got enough on us to... You won't talk. He better not.
I wandered around, finally found somebody who could make
You two guys think you're pretty cute. Now, you listen to me. You tipped off the feds I was running in a load last night, and they took it away from me. And you lifted it from them.
You're talking through your hat.
Makes a lot of noise when you eat spaghetti, too.
You're cute. But not cute enough.
Cagney paired with George Raft in this prison melodrama.
Four words of fire that herald the scorching picturization of the story of two men from opposite worlds. One a brilliant newspaperman whose daring in exposing corruption and smashing crime brings him the enmity of the invisible rulers of a great city.
You are hereby sentenced to the maximum penalty the law provides. Nor can we condemn too harshly your vicious assertion that you were...
Framed. Yes, Your Honor, framed.
The same train that takes Frank Ross to the most dreaded penitentiary in the state also brings a cold-blooded bank robber and killer, a gunman feared even by the underworld that spawned him.
He's going in and out, just like that. Clever boys, these reporters. Write a piece about me when you get out, will you? The name is Stacy. Life sentence. I like to read my name in the papers.
If you don't shut up, you may find it in the obituary column.
How tough are you, babe?
Raft came by his tough guy image naturally. He grew up in the mean streets of New York and numbered among his friends the infamous gangster Bugsy Siegel, who founded modern Las Vegas and was later murdered by the mob.
I'm doing life. 199 years, so no pardon, no parole. And you can't crash over those walls in a million years. The only chance is to get to the courthouse and try it from there.
Well, where do I come in?
Typecasting is a fact of life in Hollywood, and although an actor may be able to play any kind of a part, producers and casting agents often figure, well, if it's worked before, it'll work again, and again, and again, and again. No two actors were more typecast than Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. They were the horror kings, Dracula and Frankenstein's monster. In 1936, England put a ban on horror films. It put Lugosi out of work for a full year.
I am Dracula.
I believe when I was born in 1938, those were tough financial times for my father. He hadn't worked for a while steadily. I heard that those were tough times for him.
Then when Universal Pictures changed hands in 1938, the new regime went back to the tried and true with the sequel to their biggest horror hit.
Produced on a vast scale, Son Frankenstein presents the most fearsome cast in the history of the screen. Karloff, rising from the past to spread new terror.
I only played the monster actually 3 times of the first 3. Then I could sort of see the handwriting on the wall, that there wasn't much left of the character.
Lugosi, sinister, mysterious, evil, wrathful. In his heart, warm human emotions. In his mind, the monster mania.
Benson, turn on the generator. By heaven, I think you're a worse fiend than your father. Where is this monster? Where is he? I'll stay by your side until you confess. And if you don't, I'll feed you to the villagers.
Like Karloff and Lugosi, Basil Rathbone found himself typecast.
That will be the end of you, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
When I've beaten and ruined you, then I can retire in peace.
Oh, that's too easy. As for me, I shall never rest until I've seen you dangling at the end of a rope.
You clubbed him to death with the butt of this revolver from behind.
I wouldn't go too far along that line, Inspector.
And what will you propose that I should do, Mr. Holmes?
Find the murderer.
What? If that man didn't club Lloyd Brandon to death, who did?
Nobody.
What?
Brandon was strangled to death. He said he was going to do it, and he's doing it now.
The most stupendous, the most incredible crime of the century. The crowning act of his career.
One of the screen's most hissable villains and a former romantic leading man, Basil Rathbone's performance led to 11 more Sherlock Holmes films over the next 6 years, and a weekly radio series. One way to avoid typecasting was to look different in every film. Charles Laughton, he was virtually unrecognizable as the deformed bell ringer in the RKO production of The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I'm not a man, and I'm not a beast. I'm as shapeless as the man in the moon.
Big, splashy musicals were a product of the 1930s. By 1939, they had reached the heights of sophistication. Honolulu brought dancer Eleanor Powell to the islands in a romantic comedy version of Prisoner of Zenda, with Robert Young playing a dual
I made
role.
up my mind when I left Hawaii that I would make myself worthy of you. I was determined to come back to you a different man.
Who taught you how to kiss?
What happened?
A man just fainted.
Oh, a man just fainted. A man just fainted.
George Burns and Gracie Allen added their own unique brand of zany humor.
What happened? Oh, you missed it. A man just fainted.
Let's go down to the bar and have a drink.
Say, Pop, you're a fast worker.
Well, I have to work fast. I'm getting old.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Joan Crawford, James Stewart, and Lou Ayres, they were possibly the oddest trio in any musical.
I'm getting to be kind of crazy about you.
Oh, it's wonderful to be a big girl.
Mush for breakfast, mush for lunch, mush for dinner.
Oh, what else could I be? In one day, I signed 2 contracts. With a studio and with a husband.
The legendary Busby Berkeley directed this adaptation of a Rodgers and Hart stage musical.
Babes in Arms.
Mickey Rooney was one of MGM's brightest stars. That same year, he made 3 Andy Hardy films.
Good morning. It's a lovely morning.
Good morning.
What a wonderful day.
We've danced the whole night through. Good morning. Good morning.
Do you? How do you do?
I said good morning.
See, the sun is shining.
A good morning.
Hear the birdies sing.
It's great to stay up late.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
Rooney and Judy Garland first paired on screen 2 years before in Thoroughbreds Don't Cry. They would stay friends for years and ultimately make 9 films together.
Bring derricks, a rig, bring pulleys, a jig, bring whatchamacallits, little and big, a thingamathud,
Hollywood's only rival to Walt Disney were Dave and Max Fleischer, who brought Popeye and Betty Boop to the screen. In Gulliver's Travels, the Fleischers followed Disney's lead into feature-length cartoons.
Gulliver's Travels, favorite story of men, women, and children in every nation of the world. Gulliver, the immortal character whose fabulous adventures in the land of the Lilliputians made him a classic of literature, with a host of new characters who soon will be old friends. Gabby, the town crier.
You can't do this to me. I got a wife and kids, millions of kids.
Sneak, Snoop, and Snitch, the 3 spies. King Little of Lilliput.
Max Fleischer and Disney remained bitter rivals for years until Walt Disney hired his rival's son, Richard Fleischer, to direct his first live-action feature, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. From then on, the 2 rivals became friends.
See them all in the picture that will delight millions to whom Gulliver and his Lilliputian friends have long been favorites.
Tarzan had been a movie regular since 1918. But the best-loved embodiment of the jungle hero was Olympic athlete Johnny Weissmuller.
So then they thought, what would we do? I mean, you can't just go rambling on forever through the jungle. So then they brought a little boy into the picture. But he couldn't be my son because we weren't really married. Plane crash. Well, the last cheetah we had was a problem because Cheetah was supposed to be a girl, you see, and was, to all intents and purposes, a girl. But it was really a homosexual. So I had this mad thing for Johnny. You see, Cheetah became very jealous when I would go near Johnny and try and bite me and grab me.
Weissmuller first played the Ape Man in 1932 and then in 2 sequels. Since then, other studios offered Buster Crabbe, Herman Brix, and Glenn Morris as alternate vine swingers, but to audiences, there was only one real Tarzan. Shirley Temple was a veteran performer when she made the Technicolor production, The Little Princess. The 11-year-old was the most popular child star in the world, probably of all time. And she had been making films since the age of 4.
I can't be a good soldier much longer. I'm cold, and I'm hungry, too. Do you hear?
Yeah, you see, I had a feeling this was not a case of stealing.
I'm not sure. It's not quite plain. Could I see that kiss again? I sees a fire, miss. And a table with food on it, and a rug, and a lamp, and slippers. I do indeed, miss. How did it all get here? Did you pretend it into happening? I don't know. I never pretended as good as this before.
By far the best remembered children's fantasy of 1939 or any year, The Wizard of Oz. It was a Technicolor extravaganza from MGM.
Like wildfire in the wheat field, the fabulous tale of the Wizard of Oz spread from town to city to nation and reality to the land of Oz and its people. Every delightful character of L. Frank Baum's classic is now reborn. Every glorious adventure has been recaptured and painted with the rain.
MGM's first choice for the role of Dorothy was Shirley Temple. Her studio, 20th Century Fox, would not loan her out. In retrospect, it's hard to imagine anyone else as Dorothy but Judy Garland. She won a Special Academy Award that year for Best Juvenile Performer of the Year.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. We hear he is the Wizard of Wiz, if ever a whiz there was. If ever a whiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things he does. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
She loved to work, she loved to sing, and she was possibly one of the greatest talents that ever lived.
Over the rainbow, way up high.
1939, storm clouds gathered over the world. Japan waged war against China. Dictators Hitler, Mussolini, and Franco threatened peace in Europe. Audiences needed to laugh, to take their minds off the troubles of the world for an hour and a half. Hollywood supplied those laughs in a variety of ways. Amateur detectives Nick and Nora Charles returned in the second sequel to the 1934 screwball classic The Thin Man. William Powell and Myrna Loy again starred.
I got rid of all those reporters.
What'd you tell them?
Told me we're out of scotch.
What a gruesome thought.
In the original film, the Thin Man referred to the murder victim, not William Powell, who wasn't all that thin. The name stuck.
Man's just been killed. I think you boys better get out of here before the police arrive.
Grab your kids. Holy smoke!
What happened?
If there were any reasonable chance for me to help you, it'd be different. But during this quiet little weekend in the country, my family's been threatened. I've had a knife thrown at me, I've been shot at, and I've been suspected of murder. From now on, this is your case. You handle it. I'm going back to New York and forget it. Come on, Mom.
Powell and Loy would make 3 more Thin Man sequels for MGM over the next 8 years. Sophisticated comedy reached its apex in Ninotchka, heralded with a 2-word tagline, Garbo laughs.
Go to bed, little father. We want to be alone.
Please. You like me just a little bit?
Your general appearance is not distasteful.
Thank you.
The whites of your eyes are clear. Your cornea is excellent.
Your cornea is terrific. Why do moths fly hundreds of miles to find their mates? Why do flowers slowly open their petals? Oh, Ninotchka, surely you feel some slight symptom of the divine passion. A general warmth in the palms of your hands. A strange heaviness in your limbs. A burning of the lips that isn't thirst, but something 1,000 times more tantalizing, more exalting than thirst.
You're very talkative.
The zany Marx Brothers had been making films for 10 years by 1939. Backed up by first-rate production values, At the Circus was their 3rd film at MGM.
Please, Mr. Carter.
What is it?
Can I have a month off next August?
What for?
Well, you see, I just got a word from my lawyer. He got me a divorce. And 1 month every year, I win her the custody of my wife's parents.
Perhaps you'll think I'm forward, but last night when I first saw you,
And slammed the door in my face.
I realized that you're the man I've been dreaming of.
What do you eat before you go to bed?
But here are the seating arrangements for your final approval.
Oh, no, Whitcomb. Judge Chennock will sit on my left hand, and you will sit on my right hand.
How will you eat? Through a tube?
You must come down with me after the show to the lumberyard and ride piggyback on the buzzsaws.
Bypassed for the title role in Wizard of Oz, W.C. Fields kept busy on radio, frequently crossing verbal swords with ventriloquist Edgar Bergen and his wooden pal Charlie McCarthy.
Nothing, Jim, nothing, don't get excited. Find your back. For a hailstorm I encountered in the Dakotas. Here I am.
In You Can't Cheat an Honest Man, the radio rivals became movie co-stars.
Don't touch me. Clubs with a quarter.
Whoa, I dropped something.
I want 4.
I think that people want to laugh now, but they don't have the things to laugh at.
During the 1920s and the 30s, Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy made dozens of hilarious two-reel comedies.
You've had some wonderful ones. I remember one especially, Flying Deuces.
Oh, yeah.
I laughed at that and laughed at it and laughed at it.
By 1939, they had moved on to features. In Flying Deuces, Stan and Ollie find themselves in Beau Geste territory. Film censorship in the 1930s was overseen by the Hays Office, and they made sure that the bad guys and the bad girls were punished in the last reels, and that movies were acceptable to all ages.
Our production code is not a document that says you cannot film that. What it does say is you can film that if you abide by basic standards of morality and decency.
Nevertheless, studios created some memorable adult dramas in 1939. Bette Davis fought hard for juicy roles at Warner Brothers. She even took the studio to court. Why, that was unheard of in the 1930s when women were supposed to know their place. Her on-screen roles were as strong as her real-life persona. Dark Victory featured Davis's most frequent co-star, George Brent.
There's been no one but you. I had to come and tell you. No one. I've been so stupid. I've crammed every minute so full of waste.
But I love you, Judy.
I know you do.
You hate me, don't you?
Oh, I hate you so much and for so many reasons. I hate you for not telling me the truth. I hate you for letting me hurl myself at your head. I'm so ashamed.
The film gave Humphrey Bogart a rare non-gangster role.
I should have lived in the days when it counted to be a man the way I like to ride and the way I like to fight. What good's riding and fighting these days? What do they get you?
What then, Michael?
The things I've wanted to say to you ever since I first laid eyes on you belong to me and no one else.
Goodbye, Mr. Chips. Goodbye.
English actor Robert Donat gave a tour de force performance in Goodbye, Mr. Chips, aging over 40 years, courtesy of the makeup department, and winning an Oscar for the best performance by an actor. But as the woman who comes into his life, red-haired Greer Garson stole the show and became an overnight star.
Never be afraid, Chips, that you can't do anything you've made up your mind to. As long as you believe in yourself, you can go as far as you dream. Certainly you will be headmaster, if you want to.
Intermezzo has been called one of the best love stories ever made, and with good reason. It was a remake of a Swedish film of the same title with the same star, Ingrid Bergman, at her most wholesome and radiant.
Intermezzo. Lovely Ingrid Bergman's realistic portrait of a woman in the full splendor of unchecked devotion.
Don't you feel when spring comes that the world is yours, just for the asking? That there's nothing that you couldn't be?
Tonight I would dare anything.
Hedy Lamarr's fame began with a scandal, a nude bathing scene in a European film called Ecstasy. The 1933 movie was banned in several U.S. cities, which, of course, made the film and Lamar all the more desirable to see. By the time she starred in Lady of the Tropics for MGM, Lamar was billed as the most beautiful woman in the world. And for once, the hype wasn't too far off.
master will arrive in the morning. We are your slaves to command.
I want you, Mano. I want you for keeps.
For keeps? I've never been loved like that.
Juarez was another serious Warner Brothers biography starring Paul Muni. Like the life of Emile Zola and the story of Louis Pasteur, this film surrounded Muni with a superb cast.
We will fight no more pitched battles with the French. We shall stop fighting Bazaine his way and make him fight our way.
Wuthering Heights was recognized at the time as a terrific example of a great book becoming a great film. A haunting love story set in pre-Victorian England, the film was shot entirely on Hollywood sound stages, evoking a dark, brooding sense of doom.
The whole world will say I did right in ridding it of a rotten gypsy beggar. Yes, they'll say that. Shoot and you'll be master here again. The whole country will resound with your courage, Hindley. Go on! Shoot, you puling chicken of a man with not enough blood in your veins to give your hands.
Oh, Heathcliff, you must not do this villainous thing. She hasn't harmed you.
You have.
Then punish me.
I'm going to. When I take her in my arms, when I kiss her, when I promise her life and happiness.
Oh, Heathcliff, if there's anything human left in you, don't do this.
Merle Oberon was never lovelier, and Laurence Olivier, he was at his romantic best. The biggest film of the year, a super production from David O. Selznick. Gone with the Wind was the vast color epic based on Margaret Mitchell's one and only novel. For the rugged Red Butler, Selznick arranged to borrow MGM's biggest star, Clark Gable.
Here is a novel that is the top seller of all time. Now, people form opinions about characters, and they formed the opinion that I was the one to play it. They already had a preconceived idea of what they were going to see. Now, that's why I didn't want to play it. I said, too many people know this character. But my God, with the Red Butler, if they saw one thing that they didn't like, they would have remembered back to the book.
I'm saying very plainly that the Yankees are better equipped than we. They've got factories, shipyards, coal mines, and a fleet to bottle up our harbors and starve us to death. All we've got is cotton and slaves and arrogance.
I love you more than I've ever loved any woman. And I've waited longer for you than I've ever waited for any woman.
Let me alone.
Kiss me once.
For the choice role of Scarlett O'Hara, Selznick auditioned scores of actresses and made dozens of screen tests.
Keep your shawl on your shoulders. Oh, creepers. I ain't aiming for you to get all freckled after the buttermilk I done put on you all this winter bleaching them freckles you got on the beach at Savannah.
I ain't aiming to have you to go for Mr. Wilkes and eat like a field hand and gobble like a hog.
Mother's a lady, and she always eats at parties.
When you get mad, you can eat too.
Fiddle-dee-dee.
Ah, fiddle-dee-dee.
Oh, fiddle-dee-dee.
Fiddle-dee-dee. Ashley Wilkes told me he'd like to see a girl with a healthy appetite.
What gentleman says and what they thinks is two different things. And I ain't noticed Mr. Ashley asking for to marry you.
Well, I never fainted in my life. Wouldn't do you no harm if you did faint. If you want to catch a husband, I'll catch a husband. You put on the dress. What's my honey gonna wear? That? No, you ain't. You ain't gonna show your bosom for 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I sure am gonna tell your ma.
Finally, English actress Vivien Leigh won the role.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've spent quite a good deal of my time on Peachtree Street this year. And now that I'm here, it feels, well, just as if I were coming home. And the warmth and kindness of your wonderful welcome has made it the happiest homecoming I could possibly imagine. I greet you, and I want to thank you with all my heart.
Oh, Ashley, I love you. I've always loved you. I've never loved anyone else. I only married Charles just to hurt you. Ashley, tell me you love me.
Leslie Howard as Ashley Wilkes.
All right, I'll say it. I love your courage and your stubbornness. I love them so much that a moment ago I could have forgotten the best wife a man ever had. But Scarlett, I'm not going to forget her.
But Melanie went through a whole war. She went through childbirth. She died. She went through all kinds of experiences, and this was a rich human life to interpret. Most of the action revolves around Scarlett. I said, I don't want to play Scarlett. She doesn't interest me. It's Melanie that interests me, and she's the part I want.
No war can come into our world, Ashley. Whatever comes, I'll love you just as I do now, until I die.
In spite of all the temptation to which Ashley was subjected by Scarlett, after all, he never strayed.
Did we ever forget that day at 12 Oaks?
Do you think I could ever forget it? Have you forgotten it? Can you honestly say you don't love me?
No, I don't love you.
It's a lie.
Well, even if it is a lie, do you think I'd go off and leave Melanie and the baby?
The producer fired director George Cukor after a few weeks into filming and replaced him with Victor Fleming, who had just finished The Wizard of Oz.
We had George Cukor first, then we had Victor Fleming, then we had Sam Wood, and then Victor came back on the film, and we worked with both directors within a single day.
I'm not cornered. And you'll never corner me, Red Butler, or frighten me. You've lived in dirt so long you can't understand anything else. And you're jealous of something you can't understand. Good night.
It's not that easy, Scarlett. You turned me out while you chased Ashley Wilkes, while you dreamed of Ashley Wilkes. This is one night you're not turning me out.
Despite a running time of nearly 4 hours, it remains one of the greatest examples of storytelling on film. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences awarded the film more Oscars than any movie ever before. 8 major awards, including Best Actress.
Miss Vivian Lee in Gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, please forgive me if my words are inadequate in thanking you for your very great kindness.
Best Supporting Actress.
The Hattie McDaniel.
I sincerely hope I shall always be a credit to my race and to the motion picture industry. My heart is too full to tell you just how I feel. And may I say thank you and God bless you.
Best Director.
Victor Fleming, the man who directed Gone with the Wind.
I cannot accept this without paying tribute to those really responsible for much of the picture's success. The crew behind the camera, to whom I am deeply grateful. Thanks.
Best Cinematography.
You go. Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
And the Best Picture of 1939. It was an exceptional year for movies in all categories: comedies, westerns, dramas, romance. Some years Hollywood seems to outdo itself, and this was one of those years. It was a terrific year for movies. I'm Tab Hunter. Join me next time for more of The Best of Hollywood.
Mm.